And good morning, New Mexico. We are 99.9 FM, ME10. It's time now once again for the Rusty Nut Show, heard every Tuesday at 10:30 right here on 99.9 FM, ME10. We want to thank Advanced Auto Parts, a great sponsor of this great show, and of course, the Auto Angel, Mr. Rusty Nut himself, Mr. Gabriel Garcia. Buenos
Patricio!
dias. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, hermano. I'm spoiled rotten. How are you?
I am doing good. How's the week going?
So far, so good, man. So far, so good. We started off Monday with a very special birthday. So
Whose
to
birthday?
to Mrs. Padilla. So
Uh,
Susie Padilla, she's the boss of Padilla's Towing. And
very
without
nice.
her, Paul won't get to work. So thank you, Susie, and happy birthday, belated one day.
I feel like serenading her. Happy birthday to you.
Choo!
No,
Happy birthday
I hope,
to
Susie, you have a great birthday. God bless you. God bless you. What else is going on,
you.
my man?
Same old story, bro. No bragging, no complaining. Thank you
Let-
for joining. Those of you who just landed on the radio dial, I hope you didn't turn off when you heard Patricio and I howling there.
And
Go ahead.
no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. And also, we're going to be on, I think, social media, Facebook, the whole 9 yards.
The World Wide Web.
Whoop, whoop.
Woohoo! So again, thank you for tuning in. Those of you who just landed on this dial or regular listeners, the purpose of the Rusty Nut Show is what, Patricio?
Of course, to keep your second biggest investment, which is your carucho, in front of the tow truck and not on top of the tow truck.
Speaking of tow trucks, I'm going to go outside live. And
Okay?
we're not going to be able to let Paul listen or talk, but we'll got one where he just dropped off. So we'll just take a quick look at his rig. And
Let's
he's
do
not
it. I
even
think
wearing a mask, so you guys will be able to see what Padilla's rig looks like, loud and proud. And he's even got, you recognize that? Boom.
that looks. Which is his biggest second investment, the tow truck or that little picture of the car right there? You got to jump back inside, Gabe, where the what is it?
Where's
Internet service
Paul?
better?
I don't know where is he. Do you see him?
No, but you're breaking up, so I think there you go. Now you're coming back.
Back in the building, bro.
He
Back.
must be hiding from you like everybody else does.
Hey, do you blame him? Right
Not
on.
at
Here we
all.
go. So we want to say, this shows an attitude of gratitude. Thank you to KSWV Radio, the Gonzalez family, Patricio, you and your mom and your brothers and everybody, your dad. We wouldn't have an opportunity to give back to the community if we didn't have your show to do it on. So thank you so much for giving us a voice. My team here at the Auto Angel, thank you to all of them for working as I speak with you. They're giving me the freedom to be on the radio and on the internet with you. And without them, I wouldn't be able to do it. I gotta say hi to my Hita Summer. She's probably listening. Say yay, Summer Rose.
Can I want to say hi to Summer too? Because I saw her last week there. You know what I mean? And she
See?
was keeping everything a hopping. Summer, good job keeping your dad in line and everybody there.
She's keeping us in line, that's for sure. And to her beautiful mother, Carolina, and her grandmas and her tias and everybody else, thank you so much. Oh, that was Norma. I didn't have to hide from Norma. Hello,
Yeah.
Norma. Anyway, we'll get to Norma here in a little bit. She's in charge of our Spanglish lesson today. And then we always do a red, white, and blue thank you to all the enlisted servicemen and women, active duty, stateside, abroad, reservists, veterans, and most of all, the families that support these brave men and women. Once again, we can't emphasize enough that across the United States, there's empty seats at the kitchen table, at the dinner table, because people have family members that are serving and they're not at home. So thank you for all of them.
Amen. And we're, and even now, they're not only serving all over the world, but they're even serving here in the United States. They're in Washington. I think they're in Minnesota with that trial that's going to be going on with a police officer. So we appreciate what our military
Hey, you
men
know
and
what?
women do.
They're serving right here at Santa Fe High in the gym. The guys from the reserve gave my mom her first COVID shot.
Oh,
Hi,
so
Mom.
they're giving shots también.
Yeah, they're doing that. So right here, I mean, literally, if you volunteer as a reservist, with National Guard, they're the ones doing it.
Yep. New Mexico, we're tough. We're all over the place, brother. You know what I
All
mean?
over, boots on the ground. It
Yeah.
says.
Thank you,
And then
guys.
the first responders. What about them, Patricio? Come on, that's your line.
First responders. Well, of course, my nephew, my son-in-law, Josh and Jeff, first responders, and many others. We appreciate what you guys do. We thank you and your family
Yes, we
for your
do.
service, as well as our police officers. Huge shout out to our police officers. Again, they put that uniform on. They got that different DNA than I think I do. I don't want to speak for you, but willing
Oh
to
no, they're way and
sacrifice, brother.
above what I'm capable of doing, and I
And
appreciate them greatly.
you know who else has a uniform? I want to say Bubba.
Oh,
Hey, Bubba, if you look at the
Bubba,
screen, Bubba's doing all that stuff, the Texas studio line. I don't know
look
what
at
kind of
that.
uniform he's
Boom.
wearing, but
I
I
just
like
hope it's a
everything.
full uniform.
Yeah, I like everything that he's putting there. Look at the
Thank
show.
you,
Look what he
Bubba.
says. That's your favorite saying, man. The show
Hey
powered
man,
by
this show is
Whistleberries.
powered by Whistleberries,
You
aka frijoles.
you go, Bubba.
Thank you, Bubba. And then we
Hey,
always do a
thank God for your mask that you can't whistle. Let me do it for you.
dale. Ooh,
Little
forget
Whistleberries.
it. Man, chicharra, that's what you sound like. Anyway, we do a blue collar thank you, the azul gracias. That's our way of just saying thanks to the men and women out there that are doing jobs that are usually taken for granted or don't even know they're in the back. People don't see them. People don't realize that it's even done sometimes. Today's azul gracias goes out to the tree trimmers, also known as arborists.
Mm-hmm.
They keep the power lines safe. They keep roads and homes safe. I want to do a special shout out to really good tree service. I was driving here this morning and I saw a guy, in a bucket truck trimming some trees over there off Cerritos, and it reminded me that's a dangerous highway, man.
Yes,
That's
sir.
that's
Messing around.
they're hot. They're working off the ground. They're working around power lines. They're dealing with nature and they're dealing with equipment. And so to those guys and gals that do that every day for a living, thank you.
Gracias, gracias. Thank you, guys.
Right on, right on. And then we can get right into a Spanglish lesson. Norma's on the ball. Norma, está lista?
Okay, well, you get Norma. I am going to send a shout out to Advanced Auto Parts. We want to thank them. Of course, we want to thank the Auto Angel as well. Great people. And Norma, we want to say good morning. Buenos días. Le da Dios a
Buenos
Norma.
días a todos, ¿cómo están?
Bien, gracias. ¿Cómo te gusta lo que está haciendo el Bubba? Mira, con su nombre hay Norma's Spanglish Phrase of the Day. El Bubba está heavy.
¡Wow! Pero qué bien, qué buen trabajo, ¿verdad?
Yo sé. ¿Y
Qué
qué es la
bonito.
palabra, the Spanglish word today?
Va a ser paciencia, ¿ok? Ajá. Como diríamos, la esposa de Gabriel y la esposa de Patricio tienen mucha paciencia con ellos.
Eso sí es la verdad.
Eso es la
Pero
verdad.
estoy pensando qué tiene paciencia con carros y todo eso. No entiendo lo que está haciendo el
No, hay que
Gabriel.
hacer todo con paciencia para tener una calidad y control de lo que están haciendo.
Oh, no, mejor con amor.
Con amor, con todo. Para eso hay que tener paciencia. El amor requiere paciencia.
Sí, ok.
Ok,
Well, thank you,
bueno.
Norma.
No, gracias a todos y que tengan un bonito día.
God bless you.
God
We are
bless you.
99.9 FM, M810. You're listening to the Rusty Nut Show right here on 99.9 FM, M810. Mr. Rusty Nut himself, Gabriel Garcia of the Auto Angel.
Tornillos mojosos, dicen el Mr. Muffikin from Upper Canyon Road.
How are you going to
Patricio
tie
still
in?
don't think it's rusty nuts, but go ahead.
I don't think so, but how are you going to tie in paciencia to
There
automobile
we
show
go. Boom.
that
Okay, so remember.
saves? Go ahead.
Dale.
No, how are you going to tie in paciencia to an automobile show that talks about protecting your second biggest investment and keeping it in front of the tow truck and not on top?
Well done, Patricia. Way to go asking that profound method of questioning. So, the idea of patience, remember, this show addresses vehicles that are an average year of 12 years old or newer. That's basically what's on the road today. Most of these cars that are 12 years old have over 120 to 140,000 miles on them. And with that comes this new, this something that our nation wasn't used to. Cars were more disposable at around 100 when you and I were growing up. And now they're not finding their way to the salvage yard. They're finding their way to 300,000 miles. So they're finding their way from mom and dad to high school to their kids and then into college for a lot of these familias. Dale, a ver.
So, and you said something profound, but I'm going to ask something profound. You said in our day, they'd run an average of 100,000 miles, more or
Okay.
less. Nowadays,
Yes.
if you maintain them and say you maintained them back then, they can run 250, 300,000 miles. Is it they're making the engines or the cars better, or are people wiser, or what?
So
What is it?
I don't think it's a combination of wiser people. I think more than anything, it's the vehicle, technology has really evolved, which has made it touches all of our lives in so many ways. I mean, you might buy a roof now, and it's probably a lifetime roof. You might buy even your zapatos. They're not like your huaraches, bro, that wear out carato. You could get some good ones now that
Your
last, man.
chopos.
Or a chancla, you could take it to the cabeza a few times, and it's still good for a while.
Or
Anyway,
fence
so
climbers. Have you ever owned a pair of fence climbers? Or
fence climbers,
roach killers?
roach killers, man. Get the cucaracha in the corner and mátalo.
There
Anyway,
you go, Paulo.
I don't know how they kill them when they wear those ones that are pointy but tipped up. Have you seen
Yeah.
those?
Yeah, no,
I've
no,
seen
those are
those, and I don't know how they get the cucaracha with it. Maybe
maybe
it's for when it's already halfway up the wall.
or hopping, the hopping one.
That's one happy cucaracha.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting off topic. People are gonna start turning off the radio on us. Um, we were talking about how we were gonna tie in paciencia or patience. You asked me how come cars lasting longer. That's where we
Yeah.
were. Most of that is technology. So the quality of product that's being used, meaning the plastics, the metals, the quality of oils. And in my rusty nut personal opinion is we really turned the table when we went electronic fuel injection because carburetors, I've told you time before, they work like a toilet. And so they flush gasoline into the engine, and that dirty gasoline or unused gasoline is what dirties the oil, what really contributed to engine wear. And the precision of today's fuel injection really took a lot of that away. We're not contaminating the oil as fast or as bad, and these engines are outlasting. So I really think electronic fuel injection is one of the major factors as to why engines last, which makes you keep your car longer.
Nice. Good.
Ándale, vámonos. Let's get going. So I wanted to, the patience. What is paciencia, patience? What does that have to do with cars? So this show, I'm trying to teach listeners, not always to the ruin-it-yourselfer who's fixing it for himself or the guys that are, girls that are really technically advanced. I'm more interested in educating the average driver who's going to have to pay a professional entity to make a repair. So where does patience come in with that? My first reason is going to be that, let's put this in perspective. Brand new cars break too. And what I mean by that is there's dealerships across the world right now, today and every day, that are fixing cars under warranty. That means the car was brand new and had a problem with a brand new part and had to be repaired or replaced. And that's happening and has been happening forever and probably won't go away. So why me starting off with that is just saying, just because it's new doesn't mean that you're going to be problem free. And so having patience with that is critical. So when you go in to get a repair done and that repair doesn't go as planned, so you paid for a repair and that shop, let's say it's our shop, the Auto Angel, or it's Lee's over at Garcia Tire or Ranger over there at the New Old Show Garage, they replace a part with a brand new component. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's perfect. They tried. We've done everything we can, but sometimes we buy a product that's not made right. It's defective. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to go back to you said about the dealerships or the products that you guys buy and people working at the dealerships, owners of the dealerships, the staff or whatever. Don't shoot the messenger because they're not the ones that manufactured the car and they're not the ones that manufactured as far as the parts or whatever. So the older I get, the more I'm learning patience, like you said, but don't shoot the messenger. They're just doing their job.
And the reality is the repair shop, whether it be at the dealership level or an independent level, or even for your ruin it yourself at home, we didn't design it. So in most cases, we're going to take a poorly designed component, especially we're saying it failed prematurely, right? So an early failure. So cars under warranty, go back for repair. That part has been designed and failed prematurely. That dealership or even an independent just replaced it with the exact same poorly designed but new part. So it's not their fault that that car hasn't been on the road long enough or hasn't had enough that part failure for a redesign to be available, maybe.
A recall.
So yeah, well, not even a recall, but just for the fact that let's use something simple. Let's say that the starter failed, brand new. So the car only has 200 miles, and you had to put another starter in it. They can't get a revised or a better one. They're going to just buy the one that's available, put it in, and it might fail again. Until there's enough of that problem, till the manufacturer recognizes they made a mistake in the design, is there going to be a correction for it? Usually on the aftermarket side, usually on the side that I work with daily, that side usually sees the imperfections in the design and makes corrections and improvements on. And that's where customers sometimes might feel like they could make a purchase less expensive from the manufacturer than the aftermarket. And usually the improvements on the aftermarket side outweigh the cost difference. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I got it.
All right.
I'm
Well,
listening.
let's keep that in mind. So that's where your
Okay.
patience comes in, though, because so you're a client and you're going to that repair facility for repair, and your car has to stay an extra day, or it didn't stay fixed. Being prepared for those kinds of complications is in your best interest.
Got it.
Let's see if I got something more to add on that first one, especially early in the new car. No, we covered it. So now we'll go to number 2. Patience also comes handy when you hear the word special order part. So special order parts means that it's not on the shelf in the city of Santa Fe or Albuquerque, wherever you're listening from. So the auto parts store in Peña Blanca don't have it. They got to order it. Make sense?
Makes sense. I like it.
Okay,
I'm
so when you
listening.
hear that word special order part, the Rusty Nut certified opinion is some parts are on national back order due to shutdowns. These shutdowns are new this year that we hadn't had to contend with, and we're dealing with the ripples of those now in our industry, and probably all over. You'll find it at Home Depot. You'll find it everywhere where things that used to be available aren't as available, and that's because manufacturers, whether it was in the steel industry, the computer industry, maybe even just on the delivery side of things, had shutdowns or breaks in that link that we weren't used to, and we may just be now feeling that. So we're running into it more and more on our end, where I pick up the phone to order something and I should have been able to get it today, and I'm waiting 14 days for it. Go ahead.
That's what I was going to ask you. Just depending, I guess, maybe depending on the part, but how long can people, because of everything that's been going, and thank God that it's opening up, but what's the average time when it's a special order part that it's not in stock here in New Mexico?
It used to be we would see it next day, because we're usually, because Santa Fe is not super populated, luckily. Albuquerque's our next big city, but Albuquerque receives shipments out of Denver and Phoenix constantly. Las Vegas, everybody delivers to Albuquerque, so it's usually not uncommon for us to get a part that is not available today by tomorrow. But again, since this whole outbreak with this pandemic, we're seeing that that's not the case. We're running into having to explain to a customer that it's going to be a few days or 2 weeks or whatever. So I may have a veteran listening right now, Mr. Ernesto Rodriguez. He entrusted me with his Jeep Cherokee, and he had to, he's going to have to chauffeur his wife around. She's going to have to make him more tortillas.
There you go, baby.
There you
go.
Her
I
Jeep
like
is
that.
waiting on parts.
Okay, that's another one. Patience.
Where'd you go, Patricio?
I'm right here, brother. Right here. I'll never leave you, man. I got your back.
Sorry about the World Wide Web, but
it's okay. I can hear you, but now you're moving. I thought you might have fallen asleep with your eyes open, brother. Are you there? Keep talking though, even if you can hear me and I can't see you. Just because, like you said, with the World Wide Web, with technology, we're still working out all the kinks. But there's my man, Gabriel. Are you back? Are you back, brother?
Were you missing or was I missing?
You were missing.
Oh, I thought you were missing.
You were on standstill. It's like you took a. I said he must have fallen asleep with his eyes wide open. You were just
like the little wooden Indian over there at the store. They don't move.
You were just staring at me. ¿Qué pasa, este vato? Okay, keep going. So
called Woody. Anyway, go ahead.
So anyway, on number 1 is don't shoot the messenger, because they're not the ones that designed or manufactured anything. Number 2 is You really need patience because of everything that's happened the past
We're
year.
blaming on parts. Yes, sir.
Things are not getting shipped as quickly as they used to be, and it kind of reminds me, we are spoiled, aren't we? Or we were spoiled when you were
We were
saying
definitely
we could
spoiled.
get a part in a day later, the next day.
Yep. We were spoiled rotten.
So patience. Okay, next one.
And then patience number 3, we're going to talk about patience with diagnosis. So that word diagnosis is widely misunderstood in probably a lot of industries, or I think consumers sometimes hear what they want to hear when they hear it. So this is one that's going to sting. Diagnosis is usually a process of elimination. So what that means is you have a complaint, let's say an oil leak. It may seem easy to you as a consumer that oil's hitting the ground and you should be able to just look underneath the car and be able to look straight up and say, oh, it's coming from here or there. An engine is complex. It has a lot of components that are made of different alloys, plastics, metals, etc. Not always easy to pinpoint the source of it. So diagnosis can be time consuming, and it's usually not profitable for the shop providing that service. I usually try and help clients relate to automobile tests like an x-ray, which usually most people can relate to that because they've had to pay for an x-ray before. And you pay for that x-ray whether you like the results or not. I mean, if that x-ray says your tooth's impacted, you still pay for the x-ray. Doesn't mean you like the fact that you need an extraction and an oral surgeon. But guess what you're paying for regardless? The x-ray. And
That
maybe
happened
you
to
bought
me.
an x. What's that?
That happened to me last week. Palo, me sacaron un diente.
They could have sent that to the museum like an artifact. That's an old diente, bro. That's a
That's right.
dinosaur
That's
bone.
it's not rusty, but it's there up there with Gabriel Garcia.
That's an old diente. All right. So moving forward, um, those, and you might have bought an x-ray before that didn't even give any results. I mean, a doctor might look at it and say, I can't even see what's wrong with this. Does that mean that you don't pay for that test? No.
You
So
still
why
do?
is it, well, and why is it that in the trades industry, you don't want to pay your plumber, you don't want to pay your mechanic in this case, or you don't want to pay your electrician because they couldn't even figure it out? Now, wait a minute here. Let's be more realistic and fair. All these businesses are service businesses, they sell time. And in most cases, that time is on the technician side of it. So let's talk about that a little bit more in depth, in that repairs should be additional to the diagnosis or to the test. So those of you shop owners listening out there, mechanics, ranger, charge for the test. Repairs are additional. Don't make yourself worth less than you are. Your experience is worth money. Not only that, a lot of plebe want to make this out to be easy. Let's see you stand under your car at home, Patricio, and look at that oil leak. These
Yeah.
automotive industries have the infrastructure to be able to lift an 8,000-pound power stroke and stand underneath it. Yes, in a matter of minutes. But that takes a lot of expense to make that possible.
Well, and then like you said, people go to work and they don't work for free. So we
Boom!
may
That's
not
a profound statement.
we may not like it, but they're doing their job, and their job is to diagnose what the problem is. And while they're there diagnosing it, whether it takes half hour or an hour, it's still their job. And that's how we all make a living. That's how
Well,
they keep our car running well.
there you go. And we're going to talk about, a rusty nut opinion on this one is there's nothing more expensive than a misdiagnosis. In other words, there's nothing more expensive because that's wasted time, wasted expense. If you think you're going to have more time to bring it back a second time than you had to bring it the first time, that doesn't make any sense. There's no math there. In other words, give the shop the time they need to diagnose it right. So I'm going to go real quick. This is one of my better examples for these diagnostic things. Is example. Patricio goes over to where? Burro Lube or somewhere to get an oil change, and they tell him his rear main seal is leaking. And so he comes back to Auto Angel, or he goes to see Leo that says, hey, my rear main seal is leaking. How much for that? And what they should sell him is the proper diagnosis. And how do you diagnose an oil leak? The best way to do it is to wash the area. So we usually lift them up and clean them from the bottom if that's where most of the oil is. Wherever we suspect it's coming from, you got to clean that area. And then you add ultraviolet dye to the oil. That will pigment that the oil will have a dye in it now, and you can use a black light, and it'll leave like a green trail coming from the actual source, and that helps avoid misdiagnosis. because the shop should be accountable for diagnosing the leak and fixing it correctly the first time. But if you didn't give them the opportunity to diagnose it correctly, then how are you going to hold them accountable for fixing it right? So having patience and letting them tell you, hey, you know what, your car's going to be here for a day. I got to clean it. I got to add dye to it. This is a cost for that. And then they might have to drive it. Sometimes we have to let the customer take it because the leak's not that big a leak. So you have to drive it for a couple of days and bring it back.
Right.
Follow?
I'm right on it. I'm listening.
All right. How much time do we got?
We got exactly about 3 minutes, 3.5.
All right. So we'll go to number 4 real quick. Patience for all of the waiter appointments. Dun, 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 dun. Pre-COVID, people were so used to sitting in waiting rooms and being able to schedule a service and wait for it. For the automotive industry, remember, rushing a human's a recipe for mistakes. So the rusty nut opinion is that you might win the lawsuit from a mistake made by a human in a hurry, but it was all the hassle worth it. Making that appointment, fine, make the appointment, but prepare yourself for unexpected slowdowns. Like the car before yours isn't ready. Here at the Auto Angel, we have a policy in print that my staff can read back to a client. It's like, we're not at the liberty. It says this: we are not at the liberty to sacrifice the quality of jobs in progress ahead of your vehicle in order to meet time restraints or appointment times. Each procedure will be performed professionally, regardless of times promised. You can be confident that you and your vehicle will receive the same professional service. Basically, life's busy, and we know that, you only have so much time in a day to complete your tasks. And we take that serious, but on the same token, we're not doing you a service if we make a mistake on your car by being in a hurry. Dale gas. A ver, question, profound,
it could be turned around too. It could be that you're working on it's that person's car, and the person next in line or whatever, you wouldn't want them to hurry up and just put your car together and not fix it right. You know what I mean?
Out of way, hombre.
So
there you go.
There's always somebody in front of you. There's always somebody behind you. You want to make sure, though, when it's your turn, that it is serviced correctly. And if it takes a little bit longer, then that person behind you is probably going to have to wait a little bit. If you go to a good place like the Auto Angel.
There you go. Look at this guy. He slipped it in there on me.
I slipped it in. You don't like it. I'm going to slip one more in too, but
man, I'll get even with you.
Okay.
50 years ago, bro, owner's manuals used to have like specifics, like how to adjust your valves. And now as a society, we've gotten so, I don't know if we don't have as much common sense or something, but now they have comments. This is in an owner's manual. Do not drink contents of battery. What the heck? Why do you need that?
They're just covering themselves. We got some.
What do you need that for? I can't believe it. Anyway, so
I think
go ahead.
I asked you this question, with technology again, are owner manuals really that valuable? Are they? Because it seems like you can go to the social media, whether it be YouTube or somewhere, and find out the information. I'm not saying work on it. I'm saying it seems
No, you're right. You're right that there is a wealth of information on the internet, and I'm 100% for people using it. But when I taught a group of Girl Scouts, and I told them this. They wanted to learn how to change a flat tire, and I said, look, you're on your way to your best friend's wedding. You're the maid of honor, and you're on your way through Taos County, and you get a flat. What are you gonna do? You don't have service. You don't have service in Taos County for your phone. You can't YouTube how to do it. So you better know how to read a book.
So then they're still just as valuable as they were when they first came out.
Man, have you driven to Roswell? Once you get past Vaughn, bro, you don't have no service. I don't care who your carrier is.
We got 45 seconds.
All right. So I want to say hi to my mom. Who else? Your mom.
Yeah. I want to say hi to Commissioner Rudy Garcia. I want to say hi to Rick, my brother-in-law, Rick Borrego, listening.
Can't pick your family, Rick. Sorry, bro.
Yes, sir. And then, of course, last week I said hi to President Biden and Kamala Harris. I'm going to say
hi.
I
think they sent you an email thanking you for that. You should check your emails.
I'm going to say hi to former President Trump and to former Vice President Pence. And so I just want to say hi to everybody. Spread the wealth. Good morning to Ron and Angela Chavez, to Ranger. ¿Cómo le ando, Ranger? ¿Qué está haciendo from the new old camping truck garage?
Danger lurks where Ranger works. Tip your servers. Put your shopping cart back. Come on, give them some advice out there listening.
And real quick, again, find somebody dependable. You know, Gabe talked about cars that run almost 300,000, some longer. Well, I want to thank Gabe and the Auto Angel. I have 4 cars probably, or 3 cars that he has
You
kept
don't even
going
remember.
into
Anda
the
la cabra.
300. Yeah. So the Auto Angel, again,
La bola de años.
424-3899,
Catching up with him. He
424-3899.
don't remember how many cars he has.
Advanced Auto Parts. Thank you guys. And of course,
Oh.
you can listen to the Rusty Nut Show every Tuesday, 10:30, right here on 99.9 FM, M810. Catch it on social media. Gabriel Garcia, thank you.
Got my
Thank
eye
you
on
from
you.
the Auto
Sid.
Angel. We're out.
Laters.